Hello everybody, Balloony Cat here, and since I just uploaded an alien vessel to the Steam Workshop, I thought I'd try to give you a brief tour of the world it came from. It's going to be very brief. What you can see here is the Golden Pyramid at the top of the asteroid I created. And you know, just like my first run through, I don't feel like flying over the side of this thing just to show you that it's a hemisphere on the bottom. You've seen one hemisphere, you've seen them all. Anyway. Alright. Let's fly into this pyramid and take a look at what makes it tick. Okay, so up here at the top we can see the laser. Now, the idea behind this asteroid, before my friend and I abandoned it, was that aliens had hacked off almost all of the top of it, except for this gold pyramid, and then they built this platform inside that as a sort of way station for their long-range plans. Now, here we have the long-range communication device, and the idea behind this is that they left it there so long ago that ice has grown over the top of it, and so obviously it's no longer useful. Though technically I haven't actually tried it. It's possible that voxels don't affect lasers. Anyway, there's the antenna, as you can see. This whole thing was a real pain in the butt to create. Because at the time I didn't really know about the third-person view like I do now, so I was tunneling my way up through it as an astronaut and trying to keep myself going straight, and that was trickier than you might think. And I kept worrying that I would punch through the side of the pyramid because I made that as a 3D model, so if I wrecked it, I didn't think it would look the same if I tried to fix it. Anyway, down here you can see the beacon that indicates the position of this place. And now we'll dive through the rock here. You can kind of see some of the other stuff I messed with, but that's not really important to this video, so we're going to ignore it. You can see the walls hidden inside the rock that allow us to pressurize this thing. Hopefully someday they'll have voxel pressurization, but you know, until then, you work with what you got. So this is the storage container that holds an ungodly large amount of fuel for the little reactor that runs this platform, and I keep wanting to call it an ice maker, but it's the opposite of an ice maker. It's a oxygen generator. Literally the opposite of an ice maker. It unmakes ice in order to give you air. Anyway, and I'll fly through the rock here. As you can see, a large hollow chamber in the middle of this asteroid as a docking station created by a friend of mine. We were working together on this. If I post this world, I guess, you know, I'll give him co-creator credit for this. And there's me. I don't know, I shouldn't have my helmet off, but I love this deer model. Anyway. Hello. It's kind of a half-hearted wave, but okay. So enough fooling around. Helmet on, spectator mode off. Let's take a look inside this beast. All right. Now the idea, like I said, is that aliens left this thing a long time ago, and human astronauts come and discovered this door that leads into this tunnel. Close the door, and like I said, it's now a sealed environment because there are those lovely mauve armored panels hidden in the walls. Gotta say, it was tons of fun building an irregularly shaped off-grid tunnel that would match the rough shape of this natural voxel tunnel. Anyway, we've got a pressurized environment now. Excuse me. So, I'm going to go up here, sort of feed my way through this, and because of the way I built this, you gotta rotate around like that, and I hit this, and then we can fly inside this door. I'm going to turn my HUD back on now. We have oxygen high, we have gravity. If I step slightly outside the door, there's no gravity. I worked hard to make the gravity generator field as tight as possible, so that if you were just wandering around on this asteroid and you didn't know what you were looking for, you would not find this thing. Let me just close this door and we'll get on with the tour. Good. I'm going through it much faster on this second run through. Alright, okay, so right here we have Phoenix Industries wormhole portal, which is the stalker-like thing that goes with the Stargate portals. And because I really like the way the work they put into it, I just want to show this off. That's the protective iris that prevents anyone from using it if you don't want to. Sorry about all the minerals around. And let's... I love that sound. Trigger the DHD, step through, and... Notice, no oxygen, no gravity, no light. But we do have this nice, come on in, come on in. And lights come on, gravity's good, oxygen's low, but that should change in a minute. And I'll continue on with the tour, assuming I don't choke to death on my own phlegm here. Alright, so this is my alien ship. And the idea behind this is these aliens, when I put myself into their mindset, are a very proud and arrogant race. And they sort of view the rest of the universe as their personal possession. So this ship was designed to carry their Stargate to new worlds so that they could then roll out and make a grand entrance before the peasants. The ship wasn't designed for people to be on a long voyage. If you'll notice, there's a couple of passenger chairs for people who want to take in the view. And I did my best to create an uninterrupted view, which made some of the design stuff a little tricky. But I think it turned out pretty well. And of course, here's the pilot's station. Originally, it was on a piston, but that kept derping out on me, so I gave up on it. And that right there is the sensor that triggers the welcome aboard sequence we heard when we came in here. This arms the departure sensor. As you can see here, we got more glass for another lovely view. Up above us, there's an airlock door made out of M-Master's glass bridges. I'd open it, but it would blow out this entire cabin. The idea is that the pilot, if a ship came through here, like a little runabout, instead of having to mess around with these little doors down here, it would just wait while the pilot got out and depressurized this room, and then they could go out through the roof. So, on with the tour. Okay. Now we toggle depressurization. And I will open this door. And you'll notice oxygen is still low. You'll see why in a minute. And in case you didn't already know, these are Sectan airtight doors. They are a must-have on any non-vanilla build, in my opinion anyway. And we close this now. And toggle depressurization. No oxygen. Excellent. And now I will open the outer door. And now we can see, now what I forgot to mention was that when we first came in, you noticed there were no lights and no gravity, no air. Now, the doors were all turned off, as were the vents. There was one thing that was turned on that is now turned off. And that was all these wonderful auto defenses. Those are the standard interior turrets. These things on either side are the repulsor turrets that push away objects. And you can see here, again, like I said, this whole ship was designed so that people could come out of the Stargate, march down the ramps, like the royalty they pictured themselves as, step out here and make a grand entrance to whatever world that they had come to. That was the way that I imagined that they thought. And here we have the Maglock station for a little runabout, which is not attached because the autopilot that runs this ship currently doesn't play well with anything attached to it by landing gear, maglocks, or connectors. Anyway, let me turn on my jetpack, give you an idea. Alright, so you can see now why we don't really have very much oxygen to work with. It's all oxygen gardens here, and there are some oxygen tanks underneath the ship here for storage. And if the ship really had been traveling for centuries, then they'd probably be full. But, you know, what are you going to do? And obviously, these are the solar panels. Here's more of the defensive systems. These are the laser turrets. I know they don't do a lot of damage, but they can pick out a target at 2,000 meters away. So when these guys say stay away, they mean it. If you see this beacon here, right now it's turned off. When it's turned on, it says stay away, auto defense is activated. And again, keeping with the arrogance of these aliens, they had this idea that if anyone ignored their warning and came close, that their superior technology would just make mincemeat of that ship. And just doing a little flyover here, you can see the cabin from the outside, and you can see, like I said, the stairs going down with this sort of uninterrupted flow. And if we look, even the control station, hang on, even the control station for the Stargate is underneath here, so that it does not interrupt the flow, because it kind of, you know, detracts from your style points if you have to step around a control pedestal in order to get out of your, you know, flying carpet ship. Back here we can see the laser antenna, which is currently off, and the merge blocks, which used to hold position indicating beacons. When I was flying the ship out here, I dropped the beacons. I dropped the first one within range of the asteroid base, and I dropped the second one within range of the first one. And the idea was, back when we still cared about this asteroid base, that we would build a ship and fly it along the course indicated by the two beacons in order to find this ship. Now, if you look back along the course, the ship hasn't been traveling for very long in-game terms, but it still managed to get 3.8 million meters away. Just fly over here. You probably already noticed we've got a couple of vanilla missile turrets in addition to our repulsors to push away uninvited guests. We've got cargo pods to hold ammunition. And even more, these are just airtight cargo boxes for even more ammo. And now, another thing you may have noticed is that this ship doesn't have any visible engines. So let's dive inside it. I look like I'm trying to hump space. That is so weird. Anyway, I swear I'm not responsible for the gestures of my character at this point. Let's astral project our way into the hull here, and you can see the timer blocks. Some of them are just sort of standby, so you don't have to rip the ship apart and add new ones. Others control the welcome aboard and get the hell out sequences. And these pinkish blocks here are the engines. They're crazy overpowered, but I like that about them. They're void thrusters. They're really handy for things like this, like if you want to do a really high-tech build, or you just need to push something fast and hard. On paper, they push like a large thruster, but they draw power like a small thruster. In practice, I think that they actually push quite a bit harder than that, because this ship accelerates fast enough that if you're unboarded and you're not seated, you will slam into the back. Your jetpack won't be enough to keep you up with the ship while it's moving, and you will eventually clip out. That actually happened to me and my friend when I was showing him the ship. He was outside when the automated system kicked in and decided to move it forward. And I was struggling to reach the control chair and turn off the autopilot. Here we have the remote control and the gravity generator, the batteries I mentioned before for current draw. At least I think I mentioned them before, for current draw. And we have Rinchodon, I think is how you pronounce it, or maybe Rinkodon. Rinkodon's autopilot that is set to wait 5 minutes, launch the ship ahead 1,000 meters at 300 meters per second because we have a speed increase mod, and then wait 5 minutes and do it all over again. And the thing is, that kicked in while he was outside the ship and I was not in a seat. So I spent about 10 seconds struggling to get from the very back of the cabin into a chair, thrusting as hard as I could with my jetpack, and the game was having none of that. I smushed up against the glass and flew out through the thing, and I was like, oh hey, now we're both stranded. Fortunately, we had the teleport mod, so we just jumped back to base because we knew we couldn't catch up with the ship. Anyway, let me see. I think that's about it. So let me go back in here. Actually, since I'm just an astral body right now, that's how I think of spectator mode anyway. I will jump back into my real body and fly back in through the side airlock. Excuse me, my frame rate is derping out a little bit here. So, having a little trouble piloting. But there we go. Let's get back inside a gravity well, turn off the jet. And let's close both of these doors. And we will... Okay, the door stopped. Repressurize. And oxygen low. And I can open this door, and I'm just going to leave this door open. And I will show you why in a minute. Now, let's reach out here as if we were going to activate our DHD. I couldn't get the sensor quite tight enough. But there we go. Now if we look over here, I'll give you a better view. You see this? Before we had the 3 lights saying come in, come in, come in. These are like head back, head back, head back. And now I'm not going to actually activate the Stargate and go home. I'm going to wait here so you can see what happens. And there goes the oxygen, and there go the doors, and there goes the gravity. And now, let me see if my HUD is set to keep things extremely low, so let's... And if you can see through the transparent display, the vents just turned off. Info. Let's show distance for owned antennas. Let's turn that up to 30 meters. I think that should be enough. Not quite. Dang. Well, take my word for it. There's a beacon out there that says, stay away, weapons active. And let me just demonstrate that the door is in fact turned off. We cannot activate it. Everything is turned off except for the automated defenses. If this door had been open, it would also have been closed. Now, I'm going to trigger the welcome home sequence so that we can get the hell out of here. Because one of the things that's turned off is the DHD. For the curious, I believe both of those sounds are actually vanilla sounds. I know one of them is. It's Citadel Squawk. That's the welcoming in one, and the other one is I forget which. Doesn't really matter, but I believe it's just a stock one. Let's call that up, and there we go. And because the game didn't really expect me to be here, it hadn't rendered these things, and there. And then that shuts off. Then about 20 seconds after that, the ship would start counting down and waiting for, you know, jump ahead another 1,000,000 meters. Or no. Well, 100,000 meters. No, I think 1,000,000 meters. And then stop. And do it all over again. And that's it. Thank you for joining me. Hope it wasn't too long-winded. Thank you, and good night.